Okay, so now we're gonna put the hat together, and this might be a little tricky to see, but you're gonna wanna put alternating patches together. But it is hard to see, so I'm gonna try and show you with 2 light squares, just to show you. Okay, so I like to have the little tails pointing upward when I do this. And then I'm gonna take my third color. I cut like a foot, maybe 2 feet off, and I'm gonna use this to stitch it together. So take your 2 squares. You're gonna kind of make sure you know which one is the front. So these are both facing front. This is the back side of it. You can tell because I guess it has all the strings in it. So they're both facing front. You're gonna kind of sandwich them together. So here's the front, and if I flip it over, there's the other front. You're gonna sandwich it like that, and you're gonna match the side together. Just one of the sides, right? Because we want to seam this. So you're gonna flip it like this, and you just want to take a look. You want to make sure that all of these stitches are matching and they each have a little partner, right? So if, just for example, like maybe these 2 would go together, right? You want to make sure each one has a partner, so that way we can have nice even stitches. The way I like to do it, this is going to get confusing, but I like to start from the corner, and I want to look. So in the corner, it might look a little jumbled, because that's where we kind of did our chain 2. But if you look carefully, you can kind of see that here is the end of the corner, here's the end of that corner, and this is one of our single crochets, and this is one of our single crochets, right? I can see kind of the single crochet right there. So these 2 are going to go together. I'm just going to take a little stitch marker so that I can remember. You don't have to if you have kind of like a good eye for these things, but I'm just going to do that. Just so that way I know it's all lined up. Cool. Okay, so once you kind of figure out that it's matching, you can go ahead and start sewing. I attached my alternating squares together so that way I could sew on it. And I made sure that these were matching. Other thing you can do is once you think you have the thing that matches, you can kind of go through and just make sure that you're right. So like these 2 match. So do these 2 and these 2. And I kind of went down all the way to make sure each stitch had a corresponding kind of partner all the way till the end. And they did. So that's how I know I was kind of right with this pairing. And so once you get that figured out, you're going to flip it backwards. And where your stitch marker is, or bobby pin, or just if your memory, I guess, you're going to go into where you put your marker or whatever. You're going to put your needle through and pull it all the way through. Then you're going to flip it back to the front, a lot of flipping, and you're going to stick it where the marker was before, on the other side. And that's going to be 1 stitch. You can go ahead and remove the stitch marker. I know it gets a little like busy. So you can remove the stitch marker and then tighten that stitch. And when you do that, you can just tie it together in the back. And that's kind of the hardest part. From now, it's kind of like kind of fun. So let me just tie it. I will show you. So get that off too. I kind of like working from the back, I guess. But so that was our first stitch. And then I'm gonna go to the next single crochet that we did on the edge. I'm going to poke through backwards, bring that yarn through, and I'm going to find the corresponding one on the other side, and I'm going to go like this from the forward. And you'll see that these stitches, they're just going to kind of be like these horizontal lines, right? Because each has a partner. They're just going to be stitches that are kind of parallel to each other. So now my yarn's kind of in the back again, so I'm going to take my needle, poke from the back to the front for my next stitch, pull it through, and then that's the corresponding partner right there. So I'm going to take my needle, go from the front to the back, and then I'll have another one of my little horizontal stitches. So yeah, that's looking pretty neat. And you just kind of keep going. So from back to front, and then front to back, and just go all the way like this until you kind of reach the top. Okay, so I finished stitching these two together, and I put my last stitch kind of where I said, like right in those last single crochets. So this is kind of the corner, and that's the corner. And yeah, you don't really have to, but I guess it's kind of looking a little loose on this end. So like I said, you can kind of just like improvise. So I might just do one last stitch over here just to make sure it's all nice and together. But like I said before, it will still look good no matter what you do. I'm just gonna put one last one, and I'm just kind of guessing. It doesn't have to be perfect. And yeah, I'll leave that as my last one. Cool. And then like to end it, what I like to do is I like to go and you're gonna flip it backwards, and then you're going to go into that last stitch you did and kind of put your needle under there. And you're gonna kind of tie a knot. So it's kind of like a little knot right here. You're gonna go around and tie it like that. Perfect. Sorry about the noise. It's my Alexa. All right, and then you can just kind of finish there. What you can do, you can take your needle and kind of thread it through here, so that way you don't have to thread in your ends later. If you go like that, you grab your scissors and you can cut it there. Lots of technical disasters happening. And then you are done with that edge. And then you're going to put the rest of them together. So I have another dark one here, and I have a light one. And I will stitch those together, and I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, so I finished putting the hat together, turned inside out, and I sewed all 4 panels together. So right now I'm left with my hat, again with the alternating colors. And so the next thing we're gonna do, I think it would be best first to maybe like clean it up a bit, cut the like leftover strands, tuck them in and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. That's kind of optional if you want to. Okay, so I tucked all my ends in, and now we're gonna put the top of the hat on. This is gonna be a little trickier. In case you haven't noticed, the top is gonna be a little smaller than like the opening of the hat. And that's on purpose, because if it was like the same size, the hat would be a little bit too big. So this will kind of like make it a little smaller. The way I do this is, it might be a little weird. You can kind of just do this however you want. It'll you know, be fine. But the way I do it, just to show you, get this ends out of the way, I'm just gonna take a random stitch on the hat and a random stitch from here. I'm just gonna pick like this one, doesn't matter. And you're just gonna put those together. And you can do this again with bobby pins. Bobby pins also work very well. And then, just kind of grab like a couple more. I have 4 more on me. And you're just gonna kind of put them so that the hat will be like evenly spread out. So like this will be evenly aligned with the body of the hat. And just a note, since there's more stitches on the body of the hat, you're gonna kind of maybe like stretch it out just a little bit, so that way it will be even. So maybe I'll just do one here at the beginning of this granny square, and we'll just put it in like there or something. Yeah, that looks fine. And then let's find another one. I'll just put it like there. And it doesn't really matter, just as long as the hat kind of looks, that was a little too far. We'll just go like there maybe. Perfect. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's just kind of like guessing. It doesn't really matter. Your hat's still gonna look fine, I promise. So this looks kind of aligned. So I'll just put one like there, and this will just keep it in place as we're sewing, which is very helpful. Okay, let's just put one more, maybe 2 more. I'll put one just here. I'll do one more actually, and I'll put it like here. And so the reason we want to section it off is kind of for yourself, because if you make sure like the smaller sections are nice and even, it'll make the hat look more even overall. Because I remember one time I made this hat and I did like the 1-to-1 like we did with like the side stitching, and then as I got to the end I realized that one side had a lot more stitches than the other, and it looked kind of like scrunched together when I finished it. So I'm going to kind of show you what I mean. I'm going to grab some yarn. I have a little bit left from when I was doing the sides. You're just going to pick a random stitch marker to start from. And then we're going to sew it. So I like to kind of start from behind the stitch. That way the stitch will be facing like outward. And then I'll go down into the corresponding stitch. You can kind of like flip your hat over to kind of see what you're doing. There's my needle. And then I'll tie the two ends together. And also maybe remove that stitch marker. It's getting a little annoying. So that's been tied. And I'll flip it back. Get rid of this. So, these look kind of even. But if you ever get to a point where you'll probably have more stitches on the bottom row, what you're gonna do, you're going to just skip one stitch, then go into the other one, and then don't skip one on the top, because that way it kind of like skips over the extra stitches that make your hats, that makes the stitches from here and here uneven. So it'll make it more even. So yeah, just kind of like that. Yeah. So you'll just kind of do this all the way. I know these aren't like the best instructions, but like the way I do stitching, I just kind of like improvise, honestly, and it always turns out fine. So honestly, in my opinion, I feel like you can just do kind of whatever you want. It will look okay. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and do the rim. So grab your third color, which is what you did the stitching with, and go to the edge of the hat, and you can just pick any stitch. I'm going to do one close to the granny square so I can kind of show you what you do there. And you're going to stick your hook in, pull your yarn through. Oops. So you're going to stick your hook in, pull your yarn through, and then tie a knot. All right. Then you're going to stick your hook back into that stitch, pull through, chain 3. In the next stitch, so it looks like this one, you're going to put 2 double crochets in. And now I'm kind of at this weird spot where, like, you know, I don't really know what's happening. I tend to just, again, improvise. I'm just gonna stick my hook in maybe this hole. Actually, yeah, I think I'll just do it in this chain 2 space, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever is best for you. And then I'm gonna do 1 double crochet. So the pattern for this row is going to be 2 1 2 1, and this is going to kind of give it that ruffle effect. And the next one looks like I'm still kind of in the corner. I think I'll maybe go into the chain 2 space of the other granny square. So I'll do 1 2, and it kind of looks like we're missing something there, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. But you can do it however you like. If you don't like that gap, you know, you could probably go somewhere between that and it would be fine. But yeah, you're just going to continue this pattern of 2 1 2 1 all the way around until you get back to the end. And then I will show you how we continue the ruffles. So yeah, I'll see you then. Okay, so I finished the first row for the rim, and to end it off, you're going to go into that chain 3, into that last stitch, and you're going to pull through. And now you can cut that third color, and then grab one of your main colors. I'm going to do a light blue, pull it through that slip stitch, tie it in the back with that previous string. And now you're going to chain 1, and then go ahead and do a single crochet into that chain 3 that we just put our slip stitch into. Okay, and then the next stitch you're going to put 2 single crochet. Next stitch another 2, and you're going to do this 4 times. So I did it 2 times. I'm going to do it 2 more times. So you do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets for the next 4, and you're going to go back 1 single crochet, 4 of the 2 single crochet. Alright, so I finished this row. Now you're going to go ahead and end it. I think I'm going to go into this stitch. I'm not too sure which one it is. I think it's the first single crochet we did. I'm going to pull through, slip stitch, cut the string, then I'm going to grab my second color and switch colors. This is going to be the very last row. We're almost done. Once you're done with this row, you will be done with the hat. Let me tie it. And then you're going to chain 1. This is going to be the easiest one, I think. Chain 1, and you're just going to put 1 single crochet into each stitch. So starting with that first one. Perfect. And once you're done with that, just end it with a slip stitch, and you're done. Alright, so I finished my last row on the rim. Now I'm going to do a slip stitch. Just go into that first single crochet, pull through again, and then cut it off. And then I'll go ahead and just weave this ended, but you're basically done. Unless you haven't weaved your ends in the inside yet. I'll probably also do the top. It is a bit messy. But yeah, you're done. So hopefully you guys liked this video, and hopefully it wasn't too confusing. But do let me know if it was, and I will try and maybe revise it a bit. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.